It's not a good start.
What's happening?
I don't know. It says we're live and streaming.
Are we?
I don't know. I mean, the little thing that comes up says North Shore 9 is now live.
I think we are.
Okay. Yep. Jim says we're live. Penn says we're live.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Well, hey, welcome to the NS9 Postgame Show Powered by Primanti Brothers. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have Dougie Fresh. Doug, other than the beginning of the show and the actual game itself, how you doing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say something? I was reading Bubba Chandler quotes about how he was pissed when he didn't get promoted to the major leagues.
Yeah.
Um, he was pitching pretty poorly in AAA, but was mad, because he's an entitled brat, apparently, because he looked he looked awful today. He's looked awful his last couple, after the first two 4 inning scoreless outings where he looked unbelievable. He's crashed down to earth and is maybe hopefully starting to realize that Major League Baseball players are better than AAA baseball players. And
Yeah.
that you can't get away with that junk.
I want to talk about that. I mean, obviously today was a clunker. The Pirates lose 10-2 against. They're the best team in baseball, but still they lose 10-2 against the Brewers, the team that they simply just cannot beat. And then also, again, this is coming off. I mean, the Pirates have been hot. Pirates have been playing good baseball. The Pirates just swept the Dodgers, and now they have the Brewers coming into town. Right, it's a home game. The Pirates are very good at home, and they just they get perfectly outmatched this series. I mean, they looked like, hey, we are the number one baseball team for the Brewers, and you guys are one of the worst teams in the NL.
But it's funny that this happens on the NFL kickoff day, because a lot of times you'll see, in the NFL, it's a parity league. Everything is designed to make everybody, be 8-9 or 9-8. And you'll go along and like the Steelers last year, 10-3. They were not a 10-3 team. They happened to win 10 games and lose 3. So you are what your record says, but they weren't. And we saw that when they played good games. And that's what the Pirates, not that the Pirates haven't beat good teams. They've beat Toronto, they've beat Los Angeles, but you can go through stretches where you just play well because it's the nature of the thing. Every team wins 54,
Sure.
every team loses 54, that sort of thing. It's those and then a good team comes in, a really good team, a team that does everything better than you, every single, on the field and off the field. And your 21-5 record against home teams with winning records, your 52-51 stretch, or all that kind of stuff. Yeah, sorry, not so fast, my friends. You're still not good. You don't match up with the best team in your division, and I don't care how hard you squint. It was really tough to see a team that, hey, they might be close.
Right. Yeah, 100%. 100%, man. And today for the FanDuel, Ryan's lock of the day, he took the Brewers money line. Ryan wasn't playing around. I know he fades the Pirates a lot, which is usually pretty smart, but they've been hot lately. His record hasn't been good. Today he takes money line Brewers, and I mean, it showed. Bubba's making his debut. I mean, there's some intrigue there. Bubba is a top prospect in baseball. He, mind you, besides the last time he pitched, like you just said, his past two, but today didn't happen. So the last time he pitched, he looked pretty good. I mean, we've been talking how efficient he's looked. He's been pounding the zone, hasn't been giving up walks. His stuff plays. He's looked pretty good. So coming into this, hey, maybe Mezarowski he's been kind of shaky. He's talented for sure, right? So coming in this game, let's see what happens. Will the Pirates get swept, or they're going to persevere and take one? And Doug, from the get-go, it was terrible. I mean, you probably knew the third batter in, this team wasn't going to win. And by the third batter in, there wasn't an out recorded either.
Right. Yeah, bases loaded, nobody out. G1 Bay was not going to be able to save us. Very excited about seeing him back in the lineup. Yeah. I mean, look, the Brewers, none of those Brewers were swinging for home runs. You know why? Because they have a bunch of guys that don't really have a lot of power. So they try to put the ball in play. I don't know why other teams don't employ that. Like the Pirates certainly should. And I mean, you're not going to get away with anything against the Brewers, right? If you put the ball, in the strike zone, they're gonna make contact. They're gonna hit it. They're gonna make you work. You can't fool around with them, and that's what they did up and down throughout the lineup. Um, yeah, listen, Bubba Chandler's obviously got immense talent. I have very high hopes for him and can't wait to see what he does, being up here for a full season and all that sort of thing. But yeah, he didn't look good today. Um, he didn't have his command. He was throwing it when he did throw strikes. They were, I don't care if they're 100. When you throw major league batters, strikes down the middle, unless they're wearing a Pirates uniform, they can hit those. And the Brewers hit them time and time and time again.
And that's exactly what the Dodgers did as well.
Yeah,
I mean, he was pumping 100, and the Dodgers was capitalizing. I mean, they were hitting him right and left, and like you mentioned today, the Brewers as well.
Yeah, the good hitters. I mean, good hitters with a good approach. We're not familiar with that here, and so it seems like, wow, gee, how did they do that? But that they're just so well managed, so well coached, have such a good approach, or have all seemed to bought in, and yeah, they're going to make you pay. They made Bubba pay. It won't be the first time this happens to him, right? I expect him to bounce back. He again that great kind of stuff, and um, little wake up calls is good for everybody. We talk about it all the time. It's cliche. We want to see what he does when he faces some adversity. So look forward to his next outing. See how he bounces back. He's had a couple rough ones against two of the better teams in baseball, and let's see what happens. I mean, he probably won't pitch against Baltimore, but the Nationals, right? It'll be they're not quite as good a hitting of team, so maybe he can get back on track there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. End of the day, he goes 2.2 innings today, gives up 9 hits, has 9 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. And as mentioned, like, I mean, the way the game started, Bryce Terang leads it off with a single. Isaac Collins gets a single. William Contreras walks. Go with that. I mean, he wasn't hitting the strike zone. Like we talked about the first part when he came up, that he looked efficient. He was pounding the zone, right? The command looked strong. Today wasn't the case. So the first 3 batters are up, bases loaded, no outs. Jake Bauers doubles. It's a 2-0 ball game right off the bat. Doesn't stop there. Andrew Vaughn comes up to the bat. He singles. Finally, Caleb Durbin grounds a double play. Like, finally got an out there. But it's 4-0.
It's 4-0.
I mean,
right.
4-0 the first inning. And that's what I said. I mean, you saw 3 batters in, and it's like this game's over because the way Bubba looks. I mean, maybe he can come back from it, but again, it's already 2-0. This is the Brewers. Yeah. They're going to keep capitalizing. Who knows what the Pirates can do, but it didn't stop. The first 3 innings, of course, he only lasted in the first 3 innings, but for the first 3 innings he was there, he allowed the first 2 batters to reach base. Every inning, 1-2 was on. I mean, and he started off every inning with 2 guys on and no outs.
It's bad enough to let a leadoff guy on. Yeah, when you let the first 2 guys on, and again, fans unfamiliar with good hitting teams, like the Pirates can get the first 2 on and nobody moves, but not the Brewers. Everybody in that lineup, they know what they're doing. They know what their job is, and they do it. They execute, and I don't care who's pitching. When you put the first 2 guys, and this isn't dancing through raindrops. This is clinging to the palm tree when the hurricane, is coming through, and that's all you can do. So, again, with all we want this year is, like I said, to get these guys to the end of the season healthy. Let's get them some experience. Let him get smacked in the mouth a little. Let's see what he does. Let's see how he comes back. The kid's obviously got a ton of confidence. He's got a ton of talent. This has happened to every pitcher, in the history of baseball. So
time out. Not every pitcher. Not every pitcher.
Not every pitcher. Not every pitcher.
The guy named Paul Skeens, this certainly hasn't happened to.
Yeah, but again, he's Zeus in disguise.
Every human pitcher. This is
yeah, right. I was going to say, everybody that didn't walk off of Mount Olympus, but yeah,
there you go. There.
I know. Yeah, it's funny because Paul Skeens gives up 7 hits, and we're like, wow. But it doesn't matter.
Right.
They don't score. So, so, I mean, like, what are we, 50 and 112 or something at this, results don't, scores don't matter. Games don't matter. I mean, obviously I'd love to see him get to 76 wins because that would just, tickle my irony bone. But, Um,
Right.
I mean, beyond that, there's not much to play for. But other than getting these guys some innings in, getting these guys some at bats, see what they can do, see how they respond, and yeah, this is will set up nicely for Bubba for his next outing. Hopefully, it'll
Yeah.
be a start, and we'll see what he does.
And like you said, I mean, that's really what you got left in here. You're playing to get some guys some meaningful innings. I mean, you want to win, right? You want to carry this over. You want to get these young guys up here and at least try to win. I mean, they've got experience. Like, hey, this should be a winning culture. You want to
Right,
instill that in some way or manner. So,
for
like, you're still
sure.
trying to win, but you're also trying to put guys in good situations, get guys good experience. You're probably putting some handcuffs on a little bit, some restraints because you want them ready and healthy for next year also. So you got to manage quite a bit in this. I mean, it still matters per se. The wins
Right.
and losses may not matter too much, but things still matter. And getting Bubba into the rotation, I think, does matter. You eased him up, you brought him up, you're easing him into it. You're having him come in as a relief. Then you have him more as like you're having an opener come in. So he's, still reaching there earlier in the game. And now you've transitioned to making his first start. So it's like, hey, you've been successful. Yes, the last outing was shaky as mentioned, but still wasn't terrible. He didn't implode, wasn't like today, right?
And it
So
was
it's
the
like it's still been
Dodgers, right? Yeah.
successful. I think he came in with a 2.75 ERA it was, so again, like I know it's a small sample, but still like he was pitching well. So you've earned your shot. You already have Majinski who's been opening. Let's get him back to regular, bullpen role. We've already seen Burrows transition into the bullpen, right? So here's your spot, Bubba, make your start. He failed miserably.
Yeah. Yeah. But you are right. I do want to. Yeah, they should be trying to win every game, right?
Yeah.
It would be nice for our delusion in the offseason. It would be terrific if under Donnie they could finish a couple games over 500, and so that we could say, look, Horowitz and Gonzalez will be here at the start of the season. Reynolds can't possibly start as bad. Cruz will hopefully unlock something a little bit, and they'll add. You know what I'm saying? So we could talk ourselves into this might be a year that we compete and that sort of thing. So yeah,
Here, Doug, hold
I mean,
this. This is my beer.
hold my beer, right?
We'll
But
we'll make sure
yeah,
that happens. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's
We'll we'll
Pirates baseball.
we'll
Things will
we'll
definitely
do
fall
it
apart
right.
somewhere.
We're as down to the dumps as can be. But come February, we'll be like, I think maybe. I can hardly wait to see the over under show on NS9 Live next year. So.
Yeah. Hmm. But I do want to talk about Bubba, like you mentioned earlier and such. I do want to bring this up because, you could certainly argue that Bubba wasn't ready to be promoted. And that's why he wasn't. I know we were pounding the table to get him up here. Things just went sour and they kept going. And the more it happened, the more you're thinking like, well, you know what? Maybe he really isn't ready. Maybe he shouldn't be up here. I mean, I think for the past few months, certainly, like we weren't going off banging that Bubba should be here. If he's here, he's here, but he's not really proving it. Like kind of in the middle. I don't have an opinion one way at that point. It wasn't until like, August 15th that made sense to get him up here because the reason I say that too is even though he's struggling, the talent is immense. I do think that the things that he struggles on, he can work up here in the majors. He's with Paul Skeens. He's with the major league, pitching coaches and whatnot. Like this is something that maybe bringing him up here, maybe getting his mind clear. Like, hey, you won this challenge. You're here for it. So go and do it. Like maybe that could help him. So again, I'm fine with him coming up at the time he did. I know there's a lot of people who think that he wasn't ready, and he's kind of showing it right now. Maybe he wasn't ready, but I do want to add this and talk about this. Do you think it's a problem for him and his development being here right now, pitching the way he is, or do you think that maybe he should be back into the minors?
No, I don't. I think it's fine that he's here, right? I mean, he's shown that he can get outs, right? I mean, it's been a mixed bag at this point. It wasn't a mixed bag after those first two starts, right? We were, all
Yeah.
very, he had us all buzzing, Look, right? We've talked. He's got the talent. He's got the stuff. Um, it's even though he wasn't pitching well at AAA, and I hope he wasn't because he was bored and he wasn't challenged because that that's not a good character trait. Like you
Mm-hmm.
should be,
Right.
when you get promoted is out of your control. So you should be fully engaged, doing your best every single time. There's hundreds of millions of dollars at stake. You should be focused and motivated. So I hope that wasn't the case. You're right, though. The best coaches should be up here at this level. Paul Skeens is here. Mitch Keller. I think would be a great guy to learn from, right? I don't think he was as highly, billed obviously as Bubba, but he was a very highly thought of prospect, and we could hardly wait to get him up here. And it took years, so there's probably something he can learn from Mitch. Um, the more you see Bubba pitch like this, the more you want to say have Mitch on the roster next year, right? We're gonna need some guys that can pitch some innings,
Sure,
Skeens,
sure.
and Mitch, because everybody else looks a little shaky as just as and I don't even mean with the results, just they're not going to be pitching 200 innings next year. The only two that could possibly reach it on this team next year are Paul Skeens and Mitch Keller. The rest they will be guarding and watching and holding and babying and managing and manipulating, that sort of thing. Um, but no, this is the place for him to learn. I think at this point, this is the time of the year for him to learn. That doesn't mean he has to, if he does not do really well the rest of the year, and if he doesn't have a great spring or something, I would not be terribly offended if he started out at AAA and had to prove it. There's a real competition now. I don't want someone given a job because we think he could be good. I want someone
Yeah.
I want him to light it up in spring training, and again, and that's not even enough proof, right?
Well,
But
to your point, like you would rather them finish the season and saying, okay, I feel confident, and then light it up just in spring training, because we've all been full in spring training, right? Yeah, like just in spring training isn't enough. I would much rather feel on October 1st that, like, you know what? I feel pretty good about Bubba right now.
right. Right. And again, if we manage our expectations and realize that he's probably a 5 inning pitcher, he's probably going to have those games where he has some control issues and that sort of thing. If we don't expect him to be Paul Skeens, which is, kind of an unfair burden. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, it'd be great. Like I said, finish this year strong, look good, throw a few 5 inning games type thing. Get harness your control a little, and then and then have a great spring. We're like, all right, he's in. He's the number 4 guy or something. Because
Sure.
who knows what they'll do in the off season. But yeah, it's. I mean, this outing is nothing to panic about or make me have any doubts about him or anything like that. It's what happens to young pitchers, and sometimes that, yeah, especially young pitchers who have dominated everywhere they've been, and it's, hey, the gap between AAA and Major League Baseball is as big as it's ever been.
Yeah, that's for
And
sure.
he's just had 2 outings against 2 really good, deep hitting lineups that have a great approach. Um, we'll see what happens next. Hopefully he takes it in, learns from it, and moves forward and makes the appropriate adjustments.
Doug, can I tell you I loved this outing for Bubba Chandler? Do you know why?
He needed it.
I talk time and time again that, like, I want to give the prospects an opportunity to prove themselves. I'm the one that, like, I'd probably be more aggressive than most people, right? Where a lot of people want to maybe baby the prospects. Oh, you got to make sure they're ready. You got to make sure you don't ruin their confidence. You want to baby, like, you got to wait for them. They check off every single box possible to say, okay, now you get your major league debut. Whereas, like, you know what? Let's get you up here, because, like you just said too, you succeed and learn from adversity. You do that from failures. If you're always succeeding, outside of, again, Paul Skeens, right? Like, you don't learn anything, right? If you're always able to beat up on AA players because they're not that good, you'll never learn what you need to do to beat up on major league players, right? So again, that's why I'm also the type of, let's
Sorry
get them
about the
up
dog.
here. Let's get them up here. Let's let them face that adversity. Let's let them understand and know what they have to work on. Let's let them figure that out and improve, right? Bubba talked the talk. And I also want to talk about that as well for a second here. I would want my potential, ace, right? Or 2, or, top of the order type of talent he is, to want to be here and not back down and shy away. Not tuck his tail between his legs and say, "Oh, you know what? I'm not pitching well down here. I don't want to come up. Let me just stay here and play with the little kids." I want him to say, "Get me up there." I want to be there with Paul. Like, I look at myself just like them. I am one of them. I belong there. I want that mentality. He displayed it, but he talked the talk. Now let's give you the chance to walk the walk, right? So he does come up here August 15th. He's pitching well. Today he blows up. You know what? Humble pie. Like, this is, again, like why I am actually happy this happened to some level.
Right.
Like, I don't want to see this continue.
Right.
But
Yeah,
this was
exactly.
like your chance, like, hey, prove it. You talked it. Now you saw this. You know what? Then good. Let's keep the mouth quiet a little bit.
Yeah,
Now
you
you know what
couldn't
you
be
need to
more
work
right.
on. Go do it. And the next time out there, prove it with your actual arm.
Yeah, you couldn't be more right, right? He's not going to face this lineup against the Nashville Sounds and the Gwinnett, County Braves or whatever they're
Right.
called. I mean, right, this is where this is going to happen. This is the best learning he can have. This is the best experience he can have, and he needs it, right? The kid is cocky with all good reason, and we want him to be. What my favorite Paul Skeens moment to date is probably after his second start or something. They said, well, what if the Cubs adjust? Good luck. I mean, that's right.
Well, that was his
Love that.
first.
Yeah.
That was his debut.
Okay. Yeah.
I think, right? Or maybe you're right.
No,
Maybe
I
I
think
get
it
the
was,
words. They saw him already. Yeah.
yeah.
Never mind.
But whatever. It was early on.
Yeah.
And we loved it. And he backed it up. He walked the walk. Again, but Bubba was cruising, and that's just not going to happen in Major League Baseball. Paul Skeens has had a couple, for him, his version of rough starts, right? They're not all shutouts, So, and you're right. I feel the same way. I don't think you can't point to anything and say, oh, back in the Huntington days, he wanted every hitter to have 1,000 at bats and every pitcher. You just don't know. You probably could have brought Kutch up a year earlier. It's on the player. There's no set. Some guys come up early and just light it up right from the rip. Some guys, labor at every level and then get there. Chad Hermanson, 2 years in a row at AAA with over 30 home runs and came up here and couldn't hit 200. So,
right.
So me, bring them up. Pressure. I want Connor Griffin starting on opening day at shortstop. I think he can recover if he struggles, right? The kid's had a ton of success. He sounds, listening to your show with Justin Horwitz, that was fantastic. What a great interview. It's Connor is this, really great person. We've since said about him, it seems like he's got good family support. So if he comes up here and struggles for a month and we have to set him down to let him get him, that's fine. I don't think we're going to rot. And if it is the kind of player that his confidence is going to completely be wrecked by little adversity in baseball, he's probably not going to be a really good baseball player, because baseball, the best, we used to say the best guys in baseball failed 7 out of 10 times. Now it's, 7.5 out of 10 times. So, baseball is a game based on failure. And
Yep.
So Bubba failed today. Doesn't mean he's going to fail, whatever he pitches, probably Saturday or something like that. This is, you're right. I'm with you. I love this outing. I'm glad he got it. I mean, obviously, he said we'd like to win every game. I'm in the drive for 76, but this is hopefully he channels this, right? Hopefully he's feeling a little embarrassed. Hopefully he's not going to run up to Paul Skeens and say, hey, guess what? I'm starting an opening day. I don't think Paul's too nervous right now, but
no, I don't think Paul is. Yeah.
I think he's got that on lock. So, but I agree with you. There's nothing wrong with this outing. There's nothing wrong with his confidence, and let it be a great learning experience.
And that's the other thing I want to hit on too, because again, like I know so many people, it's just I think the buzzword that just makes me cringe the most is, oh, you're going to ruin his confidence, and I guess like for some people I could probably see that. But again, we're talking about Bubba Chandler. That's another thing too. Like, I'm not blaming the Pirates for like bringing him up here and like, oh, now you're going to ruin his confidence because he wasn't ready. And now he's going to have a poor career and this and that. Like, listen, it's Bubba Chandler. Doug, we're talking about this kid. The kid that told Paul Skeens, congratulations on your last opening day start.
Right.
If there's one thing, and I'm pretty confident that Bubba's going to be a good pitcher, but there's one thing I'm confident that I can nail about Bubba Chandler, it's that you're not going to ruin this kid's confidence.
Right.
I don't care what happened. This outing right now, he gave up 9 earned and 2.2. I'm telling you right now, tomorrow, that's not going to bother his confidence. He's not hiding under his pillows at night, wondering, oh my God, what am I going to do next week? He's good. He's good. He still believes in himself. This didn't do anything for him.
Still
And if he has another outing, that's not going to do anything for him
right?
either in that sense.
Yeah.
This is a confident kid we're talking about. I'm not worried about bringing him up here now and him having poor outings and like we've ruined Bubba Chandler's confidence.
Right. I agree. And if it does, then he's probably never going to be the player we thought he was going to be anyway, right? Do you want that guy that one bad outing or whatever, a bad month of baseball is going to, because he's going to have another bad month,
Sure.
Right? This is not the first time something like this is going to happen. And you're right. Right now, he believes that he could walk onto the Clemson campus tomorrow and be the starting quarterback. He believes that, he's ready to start opening day. He's going to be he believes he's going to be an all-star next year. And I love it. I love that about him. Right. We need some guys. We need some guys with that kind of, we have a bunch of guys sort of look broken down and defeated. Let's have a guy that's got some swagger.
Again, I don't want any loser mentalities in my organization and team, especially if you're going to be leading a rotation or helping lead with ball schemes. Like, again, like I don't want that mentality. I don't want that guy on the team. I want this guy who thinks he's going to be able to come up here and dominate.
Right. It's one of the things in professional sports,
get him to that point.
All these guys were the best players on their team in high school and college. He should be confident, right? He should be brimming with confidence. He's been great at everything he's attempted his entire life, right? I mean, he was a scholarship at Clemson, for crying out loud. To be the quarterback, that's no little thing. He was playing shortstop, right? I mean, he was the best athlete in his school and the best players on his team, and then he's gone through the minors. Right now. Yeah, exactly. And then he cruised through the minors. He should be brimming with confidence. Now, how do you react to a little adversity? And that's all this is. It's a little adversity. A very good team with a very good approach got to him today. All right, buckle down. you got another outing coming in a couple of days. You'll be fine.
Yep. There it is. So again, he makes his MLB debut. This turned into the Bubba show. But again, I thought it was a very good conversation to have. This is the majority of what happened to the game and to talk about, because outside of that, nothing else really happened. I guess Brian Reynolds extended his on base streak to 18 games. Brian Reynolds goes today 1 for 3. They had 5 hits. They had 3 walks, 12 strikeouts. Mizorowski looked good. You know how you said every time the Pirates face a pitcher, they have the longest outing?
Yes. 3 rookies. The 3 rookies with the longest outing this year, 2 of them are against the Pirates. One was with Kansas City. Mizorowski went his career longest outing. Of course, man, we are the homecoming opponent for pitchers, right? They're like, man, I am going to set career highs in strikeouts, innings, give up the fewest hits I've ever given, that sort of thing. I mean, that's what this team, and the lineup, we trotted out there today. It looked like one of our early May lineups with a bunch of, sub 200 hitters. Bubba could have been great. Bubba could have given up, 1 or 2 runs, and good chance he wasn't getting the win in this game. So
he could have looked like Yamamoto last night. He could have had a no-hitter through 8.2, and he was still going to lose this game.
And he was still going to lose, right? This is what's his name? Hunter Green, pitching no-hitter and still losing.
There it is, right.
And again, it is, we spent the whole time talking about Bubba and talking about pitching, but it's the offense, stupid. As the old, it's the economy, stupid. No, it's the or the lack of offense. So, hopefully they make some adjustments and make some moves next year. But it's a bad day. It's a bad day for Bubba when we were like, oh, thank God they're bringing Holderman in.
So, that is funny. Yeah, we talked about this before. Yeah, it tells you how bad it was for Bubba. Because Holderman coming in was actually a relief. It was like, good, we'll stop the bleeding.
The Braves gave up 18 runs today, and Bubba still had the worst pitching outing of anybody on the planet today. Like, nobody pitched worse, had worse outing than Bubba did today. The Braves starter gave up 8 runs, I think, in 4 innings.
Yep. But nobody had multi-hits today. Again, Devaney had his first RBI today, so there's something to talk about also.
Figueroa had an RBI.
Devaney, you drove in G1 Bay to make it a 2-run, not I guess a 2-run game, to give the Pirates 2 runs on the board. So there's that. But Devaney had a hit, Horwitz had a hit and a walk. Reynolds, of course, I mentioned, had that hit, extended his on base streak. Kutch had a double today, going 1 for 3. And then Peguero also had a hit today. Mizorowski, 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks. Mind you, too, Doug, start off the game. The Pirates, I mean, everything that Bubba looked bad on the other end with, Pirates start off the game with back-to-back walks. Mizrahi gave up back-to-back walks. It's like, okay, maybe it's going to be 2 bad pitchers going at it. And that was it. After that, again, 7 innings, 3 hits, no walks after that, 8 strikeouts. They couldn't do anything. And he's a talented pitcher, but obviously, again, Pirates couldn't do anything really against him. And that's a ball game.
Yeah, I mean, never ended today, right? It's the Brewers, and you see it in basketball and football. Like a lot of times, you will build your team based on somebody, to compete with somebody in your division. You don't really do that in baseball. You're right. It's not the same, but we have to play Baltimore in football, so we have to be defense and that sort of thing. And I'm a Sixers fan. Like they made a trade for Dennis Johnson to counteract Andrew Toney, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. Or the Celtics did. But in baseball, we can't build it. I mean, but we should be trying to build a team like the Brewers, right? With that kind of hitting approach and similar budget and that sort of thing.
So,
but
like a team with talented players.
Yeah, talented players who don't try to. I mean, but it's not just that, right? That they're playing to their approach, and the way they play is to their players' strengths. We have G1 Bay swinging for the fences. We've got, a bunch of non-home run hitters, guys, Nick Gonzalez. I mean, just, all swinging for the fences, all swinging like they're Aaron Judge. And it would be probably better to maybe, copy, mimic, emulate, whatever that the Brewers are doing. That, kind of just,
right.
Having good at bats, go with the pitch, not trying to do too much, and just keep it moving. And we'll see. But yeah, it was. I mean, we put out the Sunday afternoon lineup today, right?
The old hurdle Sunday lineups.
Yeah. Sunday lineup, right? Yeah. Don't go to the Sunday game if you want to see anybody. But it's just one game. 76 games is still in play. What is the record now? I mean, I think we have to go like 12 and it's getting close. I think 12 and 6 now. But they've been playing, come on. It's Baltimore and Nationals. Let's just go rattle off 6 in a row.
There it is. Well,
wait. I mean, I know this is not North Shore 11, but that's an historic defense that gave up 32 points to the Jets. Historic, I say. Highest paid defense in football.
NS9 11 for sure. I got called out for I got yelled at today for some Steelers information on Twitter. I was like, we're a Pirates account. But
yeah. Oh
anyways, gosh. So that quest for 76, as you mentioned, starts on Tuesday. They're off tomorrow. So they'll be playing the Orioles on Tuesday. We'll be back again. Bucka Brew tomorrow morning. Of course, no post game that day, but for Tuesday we're back. They're playing against the Orioles, and Mike Burrows is scheduled to start that game. So there's that.
And that's going to be an opener type situation, right?
I imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he's going 5 innings, regardless of how well he pitches. But it's. I mean, I've got no qualms with how they're handling the pitching this time of year.
I don't.
Yeah,
I really don't.
And I like I like seeing these guys. So it's something to watch in an otherwise lost season.
Right.
So.
Well, there it is. So we appreciate everyone who tuned in. I'm glad this happened after the Steelers game because there would be nobody tuned in.
Yeah, thanks.
So at least we had the 3 of you here. Yeah. But so with that said, all 3 of you, if you haven't already, subscribe, hype the video if you want. Again, if you're on mobile,
thank you individually
on YouTube. You can hype the video. Also, you have 3 a week to use it on. So if you use it on us, we appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm already looking forward to Sixers season because things aren't looking great into my other 2 teams.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. I wish the Sonics were still alive.
Oh man, me too. I love the Sonics.
But yeah, so with that said, we're out of here. We love you all. We'll see you again later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.